Hello, today we're going to talk about Monroe's motivated sequence. If you're in my class, then you know that this is required for you to use during your persuasive speech. It is a 5-step sequence that was specifically written to motivate audiences to take action after the speech. So you'll see evidence of this in commercials, you'll see evidence of this in political speeches sometimes, and even in military operations. A lot of times they will use this kind of sequence to pass down orders because of how organized it is, and again, because of how the brain receives information. So first we're going to talk about the steps in the motivated sequence, how to support each step using the sequence, and how to use the sequence for your persuasive speech. It does have its own lingo and its own way of doing things, but it's easy to work in these as main points for your persuasive speech. So here's the actual sequence. Number 1 is gain attention, and that's true for any type of speech you want to do. You have to get the attention of the audience. Number 2 is establish a need, and so that's Monroe's language for that. What you're really doing here is you're proving there's a problem with the status quo. So let's say you want us to start drinking more water. You need to then establish the problem that is the current issue of maybe Americans not drinking enough water or Americans having soda as their number 1 drink. That would then prove the problem. If you were to do something like that, you would need to prove that there was an issue with us drinking soda. So you'd need to probably show how much sugar is in the soda, how soda contributes to obesity, how soda contributes to diabetes, and really unpack that problem for us. If you don't prove that there's a problem very well with your audience, they won't entertain the need for a solution. So you've got to really establish that there really is an issue or a problem with whatever topic you might have chosen. Then you'll provide satisfaction in step 3. What this really means is tell me about the solution. If it is drinking more water, tell me how much water a person needs to really be effective. Tell me maybe a schedule of ingesting water, because drinking all the water that you need in a day at one sitting isn't as effective as drinking it throughout the day. So give us an idea of that. Give us an idea of everything that water does for us. Really make the links as to what it does for our liver, what it does for our kidney, what it does for our heart, our brains, everything. In step 4, you will then describe all the wonderful things that will happen when we adopt your solution. So you can talk about how our skin might appear clearer. There is evidence that shows that if we drink enough water, it flushes out the impurities and it can actually help our complexion. You need to find source data that actually presents that, and you can cite and source. You can talk about other benefits, how we might be healthier, live longer, less chance of diabetes, less chance of heart attack, less chance of being overweight. All the things that you really pretty much established as your problem, you'll now show us not having a problem with those because we've adopted your solution. In step 5, this is your call to action. This is where you then ask the audience to do what it is you want us to do. So if it is drink more water, you're going to actually make the ask. I want you to say something like, tomorrow you can get started with this, and here's a schedule that you could follow to drink more water. Here's where you could insert water in your morning, your afternoon, and your evening. Make it kind of a baby step towards the right goal. You wouldn't want to tell people to completely stop drinking sodas and to only drink water. It's going to be hard for us to do. But you could tell us to limit our sodas and increase our water intake, maybe over a week span or maybe even over a month span, until we get to the goal that you want us to get to. So here's how to create your main points using the sequence. The first step of the sequence will really fall in the introduction, of course, being your attention getter. One kind of sentence that you might want to start with, and you can always change the wording on this, but just to give you a template. The most shocking thing I discovered was, when you fill in that blank, that should really become your attention getter. If it shocked you about your topic, chances are it'll shock us about your topic. And you want to shock us. Something we didn't consider about your topic, something we didn't know, something that is new and exciting. Main point 1 uses step 2. So you can use a general sentence like, there are several problems created by, fill in the blank there, by not drinking enough water, maybe. That's how we would start that. Number 2, the solution to these issues is simply drinking more water. And then you would have a chance to unpack how each of these really works underneath the main points. So once you've developed main point 1 and you've proven all the problems, you're going to use source data under that to prove those problems. Then you will develop main point 2 and also use source data that shows us that solution actually works. In main point 3, when you use this one, it can be something simple like the benefits of this solution include fill in the blank. It could be health benefits, environmental benefits, personal benefits, benefits to society. With the water one, you're going to talk about benefits to people personally and also to society, because reducing the rate of obesity, reducing the rate of diabetes will impact all of us and impact the bottom line, because studies have also shown that a population tends to have to pay for funds and things like that that need to go into medical care for other parts of the population. So then your conclusion is your call to action. I would like each member of the audience to do this. This type of wording will help you remember that at the end of the day, or at the end of your speech rather, you need to ask 15 to 20 college students to make a baby step in the right direction. So it's going to be from your solution, but it might be a simpler version of your solution or a small kind of reduced, reasonable step of your solution too. So remember, it needs to be a baby step. They're not always going to make huge changes overnight. So in summary, the motivative sequence can be used to persuade audience members to take action. It is a great use of how the brain actually receives new information. So we can't think about your benefits until we're clear of the solution. We won't even think that we need a solution until we're clear about the problem. And you've got to, of course, get our attention before we'll listen to your problem. So if you look at those steps, you'll see, of course, it makes sense as to how our brain processes new information.